the village of Amankwah, located in the lush forest of Ghana. The community lives a simple yet fulfilling life, with a market that bustles with life every Friday, children running around playing soccer and ampe, and elders gathered around storytelling. Adamu was just 9 years old when his life changed, but no one in the village noticed at first. His parents, both doctors working at the local clinic, were always busy. They worked tirelessly to ensure their family lived comfortably. Every day after school, Adamu would wander back to the small house his parents owned, carrying his backpack filled with books, ready to sit in the corner and read until one of his parents came home. "Adamu, please, we need you to be strong, my son," his father would say. "We are working for your future." Though he understood, Adamu often felt lonely. His parents were kind but distant, always focused on their work. Auntie Ankem was the neighbor who lived in the house next door. She was in her late 20s and unmarried, which in the village made her stand out. But she was the kind of woman everyone loved, always smiling, always generous, and always ready to lend a helping hand. She often welcomed Adamu with a plate of fried yam or rice balls after school. "Auntie Nkem," Adamu would sigh, "I don't need anything. I just want to go home and read." "Nonsense, my dear. Come, eat first. The book can wait," Auntie Nkem would laugh, pulling him inside. At first, Adamu didn't mind. She would tell him stories about the ancestors, about the great hunters of their village, and about the mysteries of the forest. Soon, Adamu found himself looking forward to her company. It was better than being alone. But things started changing around the middle of the year. It began on a quiet afternoon, a Tuesday. Adamu had come home from school a little later than usual when Auntie Nkem greeted him at the door as she always did. "Adamu, today I have something special for you," she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "What is it, Auntie?" he asked curiously. "It's a game," she said, drawing closer. "But this game, Adamu, is just for us. No one can play. No one must know." Adamu didn't understand at first. She had taught him card games, simple games of memory, and even how to play checkers. This one felt different. There were no rules, no laughter, just instructions. Auntie Nkem gently guided his hand, but there was something about her touch that made Adamu feel uneasy. She whispered in his ear, her breath hot against his skin. She would ask him to do things, strange things that made no sense. "Don't worry, Adamu. You will learn to enjoy it. This is just our secret game." But Adamu did not feel comfortable. He didn't know how to explain the discomfort he felt. It was as if his body was betraying him. The warm sensation she gave him was confusing. Why was his heart racing, and why did his mind feel so clouded? The days turned into weeks. Every afternoon after school, Adamu would drag himself to Auntie Nkem's house. He didn't want to go, but he didn't know how to stop. Every time they played the game, the sensations grew worse. He started having nightmares, and sometimes he would wake up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat. One day when he came back from Auntie Nkem's house, he found himself standing in front of the mirror, staring at his reflection. His clothes felt too tight, and his face looked unfamiliar. Why was this happening to him? He didn't know what to feel. Should he cry? Should he tell someone? But who would he tell? His parents were too busy. His classmates wouldn't understand. He even feared what Auntie Nkem might do if he said anything. He wanted to scream, but the words wouldn't come. Adamu's behavior started to change. His grades slipped, his once bright eyes became dull, and he no longer played football with his friends after school. His teacher, Madame Kofi, noticed the change first. She had taught Adamu since his early days in school and had seen him grow into a bright, inquisitive boy. But now something was different. "Adamu," Madame Kofi said one afternoon after class, "you've been looking troubled lately. Is everything all right?" Adamu, too scared to speak, merely nodded. He didn't want to disappoint Madame Kofi, but he couldn't bring himself to tell her the truth. He kept his head down and refused to make eye contact, but Madame Kofi, who had a gift for understanding children, could tell that something was wrong. Adamu, you know you can't tell me anything. I am your teacher. If something is bothering you, I will help. For the first time in weeks, Adamu felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps he could speak, but the words got stuck in his throat. What if Auntie Nkem found out? What if his parents got angry? He was terrified of the consequences. One afternoon, after returning from school, Adamu finally broke. He couldn't take it any longer. His body, his mind, and his spirit were all weighed down by the secrets he kept. He stood before his mother in the kitchen, unable to speak. His hands trembled as he opened his mouth. "Mother," he whispered, "Auntie Nkem, she does things to me. I don't like it. I don't understand." The words, once stuck inside, flowed out like a dam breaking. His mother, who had been busy preparing food, froze in place. Her eyes widened as she turned to face her son. "What are you saying, Adamu?" she asked, her voice shaking. Her mind couldn't comprehend it, but her heart knew something was terribly wrong. Adamu's mother, though initially in shock, gathered her strength. She knew she had to protect her child. That evening, Adamu's mother and father spoke to the village elders. The matter was serious and they could not afford to ignore it. The elders, along with Madame Kofi, organized a meeting with the local authorities. They did not take this lightly, and the village quickly mobilized. Auntie Nkem was called in for questioning, and when she arrived, she was met with stern faces. The truth came out, and her actions were exposed. She was taken away by the village guards, and Adamu's parents vowed to protect him at all costs. In the days that followed, Adamu went through counseling. He learned that he was not at fault, that he deserved to be treated with respect and dignity. Slowly, the nightmares stopped, and the bedwetting that had plagued him for weeks eventually ceased. He began to feel safe again. His parents, realizing their neglect, promised to spend more time with him. They made sure that Adamu would never feel alone again. And as the days passed, his once lost smile returned. Adamu's story became a lesson in the village of Amankwah. It was a reminder of how important it is to protect the children, to listen when they speak, and to ensure that no one is left behind in the face of suffering. The community came together to support Adamu, and as he grew older, he never forgot the importance of standing up for himself, for his rights, and for others who might be too afraid to speak.